Hello again, everybody. I've long lamented the lack of education when it comes to finance and investing in this country. We do a great job teaching the 3 R's, of course: reading, writing, arithmetic. Not really R's, but, that's the terminology that we use. We also have other subject matters, I think, that are very important: history and science, and people join the band, learn a foreign language, whatever. But let me ask you this question. Where is the subject about what a mortgage is all about? Where is how to invest in a Roth IRA for our young people? How about the dangers of putting all of your expenses on a credit card and digging yourself further and further into debt and how to get out of it? Where is that required education? It doesn't exist. I've always said that if I were king for a day and I could declare one law of the land, just one, it would be this: I would make sure that starting in elementary school all the way to high school, that this would be a required class, because this is the one subject we all use more than anything else: how to put money away for retirement, how to take care of ourselves, especially for the younger generations out there. Listen, the days of pensions, pretty much over. You don't see a lot of companies starting today with pensions. And we all know about Social Security. People of a certain age, we're likely going to be fine, but other ages, it will likely be there, but maybe a lesser amount. Maybe you have to work a lot longer. So, newsflash, you're going to have to take care of you. And yet we don't tell you or educate you on how to do these things. There's a reason why this is so important to me, and because I've seen it all the time. When people look back at the beginning of their lives and they say, "Oh, I wish I would have known this. I wish I would have done this better because maybe I could have reached my goals in a more efficient manner." And I'm going to zero in on one particular subject matter on this week's Simon Says podcast, and that is taxes. That is a huge one, and people don't think about that when they are younger. And if we had a better educational system, or companies did a better job even as a young adult in how to educate you, you would realize that later on towards retirement, how much money that you have wasted on taxes. So I'm going to start this by using a hypothetical illustration to show one particular point when it comes to taxes. Here it is. This is a 65-year-old man who retired 5 years ago, as you can see, in 2020. Now, let's say this guy had done a great job putting money away into his 401k and his IRAs, and he retires with just a flat $1 million. Now, in the chart, you can see we're giving him a very modest 5% return on his money going forward. You can see there it is, growing at 5%. And then he hits this thing called required minimum distribution. We'll be back to that chart in just a second, but let me explain again the RMD laws. It's very simple, actually. It's not complicated. The government at some age in the future, it's in your 70s, is going to require that you take out a certain percentage of your tax-deferred accounts. All right. And that percentage grows every year a little bit. Now, it used to be 70.5 is when you had to start your RMDs. That moved up to 72. Recently, it went to 73, and in the year 2033, it goes up to 75. So for now, we'll just say early 70s is where most people have to start their RMDs. Okay, back to the chart. In this case, we're using it where he starts at 72. That was true up until a couple of years ago. We're splitting hairs. It really doesn't matter. All this still makes sense conceptually. Now, look what happens at 72 in the year 2027, just a couple of years from now. He's got about $1.35 million, and there is the first required minimum percentage he has to take out, a little less than 4%, which equates to a little bit more than $52,000. Notice that even though he's taking out money now every year and that number is growing, so is his traditional IRA balance. It's going higher until it peaks just shy of 1.4 million. There it's circled there at age 79. And then it starts to come down because the RMD percentage now is a little higher than his 5% annual number. But that RMD amount keeps going higher. Folks, let me tell you something. In most cases, that RMD overall number is going to keep moving higher because the percentage required goes higher. Why am I even pointing this out? Most people, this is not going to be a big deal. In retirement, you need extra income anyway, right? You have Social Security, maybe some other outside income, but you put all this money away tax deferred, knowing someday you're going to need to take distributions, so maybe the RMD settles that. Fine. But for many of you others, you have what we call a good problem to have. You saved diligently, you played by the rules, you did what you were told, you maxed out on your 401k, you put money into your IRA, way to go, you did the great American thing of investing for your future, and now you're stuck. You're in your 70s, it's RMD time, and you don't just have $1 million in all your tax-deferred accounts combined, you have millions plural. Now you're being forced to take out a six-figure amount that you don't even need. What does that do? That pushes you into a higher tax bracket. That also increases your Medicare premiums. Double. And you're thinking, if somebody would have told me back in my 20s and 30s that maybe I shouldn't have put all my savings into my tax-deferred accounts, I wouldn't be in this situation now. All right, so here are the action items, folks. We're going to start with that for younger generations, let's say 40s and younger, because there's still plenty of time. Great, put money in your 401k. You need to. Or 403b or whatever work plan you have. Maybe money in the IRAs as well. Absolutely. But make sure that you're also investing in accounts outside of those tax-deferred accounts. Taxable accounts, we call them. If you're married, a joint account. That's your investment plan outside of the IRAs. You want to have emergency cash balance, of course. The refrigerator blows up. You need new tires for the truck, whatever. You also want to make sure that you've got money for other things that you've got coming up, a new car, things like that. But once that's settled, you want to start investing in a regular portfolio outside of the IRA. So when you get to your 70s, you are not so overly lopsided balanced over to the IRA side. So that's your action item for those of you who are younger. You got to start thinking about that now. Now for the others, my age and older. Some of us are in this sweet spot. And to explain, let's go back to the chart now. See those ages from your mid-60s until the RMD start in your early 70s? If you're retired and your income is now lower because you don't have any more work income, you need to seriously consider Roth conversions. Take advantage of your lower tax bracket in retirement. Fill up that current tax bracket. Maybe even go into the next one if it's only 22 to 24%. So you're converting traditional IRA money over to a Roth IRA, which doesn't have required distributions. You want to purposely stunt the growth of your large, perhaps seven-figure traditional IRA. My friends, I can't begin to tell you how important this financial planning tool is. If you're not sure how this works, do your research, look online, consult a financial advisor, but please consider doing Roth conversions. And another thing you can do is go back and look at some of my previous Simon Says podcasts, because so many of them are retirement related. And by the way, this Roth conversion subject matter is so important to me that I will soon be doing one just on that. So make sure you keep coming back to these every week, and I'll show you the mechanics of that. But for now, again, please, for younger folks, make sure your investing strategy is spread out. And for the rest of you who are in kind of that sweet spot before you've hit RMD age, consider Roth conversions. More on that coming up. I hope that helps. Please remember to subscribe and pass this along to anyone you think might benefit from it. We'll see you again soon.